So insulin secreted by which cells? Glucagon is secreted by which cells? There is one more hormone called somatostatin that is secreted by delta cells. Some more other hormones are secreted, but three are main important. What is the composition of insulin hormone? Composition. Why it is not working? Protein basically it is a dipeptide hormone. Dipeptide hormone. Insulin is having 51 amino acid. So there is a two chain. One is having 31, another is having 20 amino acids. So 20 and 31 is 51 amino acid. These two peptides are linked by 3 disulfide bonds. One is intra, two is inter. 3 disulfide bond. 3 disulfide bond. Basically, insulin is a dipeptide hormone. Total consists of 51 amino acid. Out of 51 amino acid, there is a 31 amino acid in one chain and 20 amino acid in another chain. So these two chains are linked with each other by 3 disulfide bond. Out of 3 disulfide bond, one is intra bound and two is inter bound. Understand, sir?
Yes.
So today lecture objectives are: describe the chemical structure of insulin and the steps of its synthesis, describe the mechanism of storage, secretion, transport, degradation and excretion of insulin, explain the mechanism of action of insulin, list the effects of insulin on metabolism and growth. So pancreatic hormones, the endocrine part of pancreas is called islets of Langerhans. Endocrine part of pancreas is islets of Langerhans. 3 main types of cells. One is beta cell that secretes insulin, alpha cell secrete glucagon, and delta cell secrete somatostatin. So insulin is a peptide hormone composed of 51 amino acid made up of 2 chains of amino acid. Alpha chain is 21 and beta chain is 30. So another 30 and 20. So alpha is 21, beta is 30. So the sulfide bond within the chain, is called intra. Intra means within, and the sulfide bond between the 2 chains are called inter. Inter is in between 2. Intra means within. 3 disulfide bond. One is intra and 2 is inter disulfide bond between alpha and beta chain. And this disulfide bond is because of cysteine. Cysteine is which amino acid? Cysteine is a sulfur containing amino acid. Sulfur containing amino acid. That sulfur is responsible for disulfide bond. Sulfur is responsible for disulfide bond. Cysteine is sulfur containing amino acid. Sulfur which is present between 2 cysteine is responsible for making disulfide bond. 3 disulfide bond, one is intra disulfide bond and 2 are inter disulfide bond. Zinc form the complex with insulin and proinsulin. So zinc is the metal that is responsible for activation of zinc hormone. So if you want to give any mineral supplement for diabetic patient, so you have to advise them in zinc along with multivitamin, because zinc is initiate or responsible for activation of insulin hormone. It is produced in beta cells of islets of Langerhans in the pancreas, effects on both metabolism and several other body systems. What are the effects of insulin on metabolism? Anabolic hormone, very good. So what is the effect on carbohydrate? What is the effect on lipid? What is the effect on protein?
Breakdown glucose.
He said anabolic. How can you say breakdown?
Breakdown the glucose.
No.
So uptake by the tissue.
No. Huh? Anabolic. Huh? Anabolic. What are the anabolic reactions of carbohydrate? Huh? Glycogen synthesis. No, Mafi gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis is during starvation. Glucagon effect. Mafi insulin effect. So glycogen synthesis, increase glycolysis, increase energy production. Okay. Decrease gluconeogenesis, decrease glycogenolysis. Decrease gluconeogenesis, decrease glycogenolysis. On lipid, increase lipogenesis. Okay. Decrease lipolysis, decrease ketone body synthesis, like this.
So increase what?
Which one?
Insulin.
So in carbohydrate is glycogen synthesis, increase carbohydrate utilization. Okay. Increase energy production, decrease gluconeogenesis, decrease glycogenolysis. So synthesis of insulin. So synthesis of insulin is as other proteins by transcription, translation, post-translational modification, Kullushay. But here insulin is synthesized pre-proinsulin, then proinsulin, and finally active insulin. Pre-proinsulin, proinsulin, and finally active insulin. So this pre-proinsulin at the end of translation, it undergoes sequential signal sequence. There is a sequence. This sequence is amino terminal sequence is deleted to form proinsulin. Then proinsulin, the part of this amino acid is removed in the form of C peptide to form insulin, active insulin. So and RNA transcript is translated. Free proinsulin protein passes through endoplasmic reticulum. After that, the amino terminal, some of the sequence of amino acid is removed, that converted to proinsulin. That proinsulin by breakdown into C peptide and active insulin. And here C peptide is very, very important, because the concentration of the C peptide is equal to the concentration of insulin. Concentration of C peptide is equal to the concentration of insulin, but there is no activity of C peptide. We can measure C peptide in the body, but we cannot measure insulin in the body. Why? We can measure, but after long time, sometime we cannot able to measure, because the half-life of insulin is very less. So that's why we cannot able to measure appropriate concentration of insulin. If we measure the concentration of C peptide, it gives indirectly the concentration of insulin, because they are equal in concentration. Proinsulin, C peptide and insulin, they are in tawazun. Concentration is same. After splitting, C peptide and insulin is separated. So So if you want to measure the concentration of insulin indirectly, so you have to measure C-peptide. It gives you the concentration of insulin, endogenous insulin. Endogenous insulin which is synthesized in our body. If you want to measure whether the insulin is synthesized in our body or not, if you measure C-peptide, if C-peptide maafi maujood, so it indicates the body is not preparing their own insulin. Their own insulin. This is the clinical importance of C-peptide. Activated by cleavage of release of the C-peptide, leading to disulfide leakage, 30 and 21 amino acid, the mature insulin molecule by specific peptidase and carboxypeptidase. What is mean by peptidase and carboxypeptidase? Huh? Break down protein. No, my question is what is mean by carboxypeptidase, what is mean by peptidase? So this is carboxy terminal. Huh? And in between is peptide. Okay, and this is amino terminal. If the enzyme is act on this terminal is called amino terminal or aminopeptidase. Aminopeptidase. If enzyme is act at this carboxy terminal, that is called carboxypeptidase. If it is act in between, that is called peptidase bus. Because that is responsible for breakdown of peptide bond. That is peptidase. If it is act on carboxy terminal, that is called carboxypeptidase. If it is act on amino terminal, is aminopeptidase. So here conversion of proinsulin to mature insulin, there are two enzymes. One is peptidase, another is carboxypeptidase. So here is carboxypeptidase is here and peptidase is in between this, and that is responsible for release of two peptide chain. So it is stored in granules in the cytoplasm. So insulin is stored in granules in cytoplasm. The same thing. Here is translation and translocation, folding, oxidation and signal, peptide cleavage, and then finally endoplasmic reticulum, export, Golgi transport, vesicle package. And after that, it is the post-translational modification, proteases cleavage, liberate C-peptide, and carboxypeptidase produce mature insulin. So insulin secretion. So human insulin secrete 40 to 50 units of insulin per day. 40 to 50 units of insulin per day. So 1 ml of insulin having how many units? Huh? 40. 1 ml of insulin is having 40 unit of insulin. 1 ml. Did you see insulin syringes? Most of the houses having diabetic patient. If you see insulin syringe, there is a units 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40 like that. So 1 ml is equals to 40 unit of insulin. So in our body, normally 40 to 50 unit of insulin is synthesized per day. That's all. Okay, but it has very important function in our body. It is responsible for maintenance of blood glucose level in our body and having so many metabolic reaction that is responsible for maintain the growth and development. Yeah.
So it means that nearly 1 milli is a day.
Yeah. Factors that increase insulin secretion. So glucose, fasting blood glucose level is 60 to 100. Some books refer 70 to 110. It's differ from book to book. Don't confuse. If you remember any one value, no problem. Some books say 60 to 100, some books say 70 to 110. No problem. The maximum response is at 300 to 500 milligram per deciliter. Whenever we start eating, the concentration of glucose is increased in our body by absorption. So that increased blood glucose concentration is responsible for secretion of insulin from beta cells of pancreas. Okay. So if blood glucose is increased, so concentration of the insulin in blood is increased. They are parallel together. One is increased, another is also increased. Okay. Factors: epinephrine, fasting, stress, trauma, and vigorous exercise, release of energy utilization that is responsible for decreased insulin secretion as insulin stimulate energy storage. So that's why we are advising diabetic patients they should not take any stress. If stress is taken, so which hormone is released? Epinephrine, norepinephrine. Epinephrine and norepinephrine. So that epinephrine and non-epinephrine is, what is the effect? Metabolic effect. Huh? Glycogenolysis. Glycogenolysis. Mafi glycolysis. Glycogenolysis. Glycogenolysis. So that's why, and fasting is also, there is insulin concentration is less. In stress, because of epinephrine, the insulin concentration is less. Whenever the trauma, that trauma leads to stress. Vigorous exercise. During exercise, what happened? Energy is utilized or produced?
During stress, insulin will decrease.
Which one? Insulin, yes.
Why?
Why means because epinephrine is increased. Epinephrine is anti-insulin hormone.
What you said, it does glycogenolysis.
Yeah, glycogenolysis, breakdown.
Yeah,
So
breakdown,
insulin
yeah.
is for glycogenesis. Opposite effect. Opposite effect.
The breakdown of glycogen.
Yeah, that leads to increased blood glucose level.
So epinephrine will break down of glycogen.
Yeah,
So that will increase the blood glucose.
yeah. But insulin is just anti-insulin hormone. I am talking about anti-insulin hormone. So if epinephrine is there, there is insulin is decreased, not increased. Okay.
So it acts directly on insulin.
Which one?
Epinephrine.
Yeah, anti-insulin hormone. Anti-insulin.
So it increases glucose and decreases insulin directly.
Because of stress, because of trauma, not normally. Normally, if blood glucose is increased, insulin is increased. But during stress, during trauma, or during epinephrine, like pheochromocytoma, in those conditions, the epinephrine is increased. That anti-insulin hormone that decreases the insulin concentration. Okay. And insulin is an energy stored enzyme. But during exercise is energy breakdown. Energy breakdown. So that's why during exercise also insulin concentration is less. Whenever person is taking rest, that time if you consume food and blood glucose level is increased, that time insulin concentration is increased. Like, insulin stimulate energy. Drugs, sulfonylurea and tolbutamide. So in this week, pharmacology people will talk about what is sulfonylurea, what is tolbutamide. Sulfonylurea increase concentration of insulin secretion. Sulfonylurea helps in secretion or synthesis of insulin in the pancreas. But this tolbutamide, usually we call metformin. So this metformin increase the receptor activity of insulin. So that's why tolbutamide we are advised in obese patient. Obese patient we are advised tolbutamide that increase the insulin receptor activity. There is no relation with concentration of insulin. But sulfonylurea increase the synthesis of insulin. Amino acid stimulate insulin secretion like glycine, alanine and arginine. So this glycine, alanine and arginine usually predominant in the seafood. That's why we are advising diabetic patients they have to take seafood. Because they are having glycine, alanine and arginine. So these amino acids stimulate insulin secretion. So gastric inhibitory polypeptide gut hormones releases after the ingestion of the food, onset of the insulin release. So this hormone, gastric inhibitory polypeptide hormone, is also stimulate insulin secretion. So release. The insulin is released as blood glucose concentration rise. Glucose enter beta cells and is metabolized to form ATP. So here, as the glucose concentration is increased, glucose uptake by GLUT2 receptor. So glucose is entry inside the cell. The glucokinase is responsible for glycolysis. The respiration is occur, ATP concentration is increased. So this ATP increases, that leads to block of potassium channel. Block of potassium channel. Please, if you didn't understand, ask me, I will explain again and again. This is very, very important. Whenever the glucose concentration is increased, cell uptake glucose. If the uptake of the glucose, glycolysis, ATP production is increased, right? That ATP is responsible for block of potassium channels. If the potassium channel is blocked, there is an increased potassium concentration inside the cell. That is responsible for depolarization of the cell. So that depolarization leads to opening of the calcium channel. Opening of calcium channel. So that calcium channel is open, that is responsible for exocytosis. Release of insulin into blood. Release of insulin into blood. Eventually, the glucose is taken by the cell. That increase glycolysis and ATP concentration. So that ATP block potassium channel. So potassium concentration is increased inside the cell. That is responsible for depolarization. Depolarization leads to opening of calcium channel. That calcium channel stimulates the exocytosis of insulin, and that leads to release of insulin into blood. So insulin is released as the blood glucose concentration is rises. Glucose enters the beta cell and metabolized form ATP. Increased level of ATP, potassium channel to close, potassium ion build up and depolarize the cell. Activate calcium channels, and calcium channels flow in triggers the granules to release insulin. The blood glucose and insulin release, the beta cells glucose at elevated level, glucose 6-phosphate by glucokinase and glycolysis. So increased glycolysis causes calcium entry, release of insulin. Insulin is secreted from cells by exocytosis and diffused into blood. So insulin is secreted by exocytosis. Exocytosis. Mafi simple diffusion, mafi active diffusion, mafi just simple exocytosis, rupture of the cell granules, and insulin is released. So reduced blood glucose, slowing the insulin release, a perfect feedback mechanism. So when the glucose concentration is reduced, the entry of glucose inside the cell is decreased. ATP is decreased. So if ATP is decreased, means there is no question of block of potassium channel. So no question of depolarization, no question of opening of calcium channel. So there is no release of insulin when the blood glucose is decreased. Transport. When release insulin, molecules attached to transmembrane receptor outside the cell, outside the muscle and the fat cells, activate insulin receptor system. IRS is insulin receptor system, that is having 1, 2, 3, 4 protein inside the cell. So insulin receptor system 1 protein stimulate glucose transport molecule GLUT4 and taking glucose receptor. Taking glucose inside the cell. So this is glucose receptor. Okay, these are transporter. This is insulin receptor as a transporter. So this insulin is taken by, whenever the glucose concentration is increased, the insulin is coming from outside to the inside the cell. So then this glucose is increased from outside the cell to inside the cell. This is a signal transduction, then glucose oxidation, and then glycogen, lipid and protein synthesis is there, and there is a gene expression and growth regulation. Insulin receptor is a tetrameric complex. Tetramer means 4. So here This is the insulin receptor having tetramer. One is 2 alpha unit and 2 beta unit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So alpha subunit. Two types of insulin subunit, 2 alpha and 2 beta. So this is alpha, this is beta. Alpha subunit insulin binds, beta subunit span the membrane and protrude into the cytosol. So beta subunit is the span the membrane. Span the membrane means throughout the cell membrane, and it's protrude inside the cell, has a cell membrane, has the outer side, has the inner side. So this other end is inside the cytoplasm. Insulin receptor is tyrosine kinase. Insulin receptor is tyrosine kinase. Tyrosine is amino acid. Which amino acid? Which amino acid?
Essential.
Essential, okay. Tonic is the aromatic hydroxyl group containing amino acid. Aromatic hydroxyl group containing amino acid. So see here. So these are the hydroxyl group of tyrosine. And the kinase activity of insulin receptor is essential to its biological activity. So specific amino acids are found to be bind site. Once the insulin bind to the receptor, beta subunit linked by disulfide bonds are sent through the pores to activate the other process. Whenever the insulin is there, so it has to be bind with alpha subunit first, and this alpha subunit that is responsible activation of this tyrosine kinase, and this tyrosine kinase undergo phosphorylation, and that phosphorylation for the mechanism of action of insulin. So this is just understanding. Till now there is no exact mechanism of insulin, mechanism of action is not known till now. So anybody from you, inshallah, in future they are going to innovate how the insulin is acting in our body. So till now this is imaginary thing. So first tetrameric unit, 2 alpha unit outside, 2 beta unit inside. As soon as insulin bind with alpha unit, it's activate the hydroxyl group which is present on the beta unit for tyrosine kinase. So that tyrosine kinase undergo phosphorylation to convert it to phosphate group. That phosphate is responsible for all the functions of insulin. So here insulin bind to its receptor in the cell membrane. This. Okay. And then second reaction is activate the receptor, promote recruitment of glucose transporter from intracellular pool to cell membrane. So this transporter which are present inside the cell cytoplasm, so that recruit this transporter from the cell to surface to take glucose inside. As soon as insulin attach this, so this glucose transporter which are present inside the cell is transported from cytosol to cell membrane, and that cell transporter bind for glucose. Third step, glucose transporter increase insulin mediated uptake of glucose into the cell. So this transporter responsible for glucose uptake of from outside to the inside the cell. Then fourth is when the insulin levels decrease, glucose transporter move from cell membrane to intracellular. Whenever the insulin concentration is decreased, so this moves from periphery inside the cell, and then they again form vesicles. And finally, vesicles fuse to form organelles called the endosomes. So in this way, the cycle is going on for the uptake of glucose by insulin. So there are, as I told you, 4 GLUT1, GLUT2, GLUT3, GLUT4. So the transporter of glucose, RBC and brain. Here is brain is missing, please note down. GLUT1 is for RBC and brain. GLUT1 is for RBC and brain. Liver, kidney, beta cell of pancreas, GLUT2. Brain, GLUT3 as well as GLUT1. Brain is having 2, GLUT1 as well as GLUT3. Adipose tissue, skeletal muscles and heart muscles is GLUT4. So 4 glucose transporter are there, GLUT1, GLUT2, GLUT3, GLUT4. So GLUT1 is present in brain and RBC, GLUT2 is present liver, kidney, beta cells of pancreas. GLUT3 in brain again. GLUT4 in adipose tissue, skeletal muscle and heart. The same thing, the insulin that interact with receptor that is responsible for intake of the glucose, and that glucose is utilized for glycogen synthesis. If the glycogen is enough, then it's converted to pyruvate. Pyruvate is mainly responsible for fatty acid synthesis. The effect of insulin on glucose uptake and metabolism: insulin binds to receptor, which in turn start many protein activation cascade. Cascades mean chain of reaction. Chain of reaction. So first one is, this include translocation of GLUT4 transporter to the plasma membrane and influx of glucose. So that glucose for glycogen synthesis, glycolysis, fatty acid synthesis. So here insulin is entered, that responsible for glucose uptake, and then glycogen synthesis, and pyruvate is finally give rise to fatty acid. Degradation. So half-life of insulin is 3 to 5 minutes. Half-life of insulin is 3 to 5 minutes. So that's why I told you in the beginning, C-peptide is very, very important. C-peptide is half-life is very long. So if you want to measure indirectly concentration of insulin, you have to measure C-peptide. It gives you indirectly the concentration of insulin in our body. So site of degradation is in liver, kidney and placenta. By two enzyme proteases, enzyme specific for insulin, glutathione, insulin transdehydrogenase, cleavage of disulfide bond. Proteases for the breakdown of amino acid, and this glutathione for the cleavage of disulfide bond. Disulfide bond. So insulin is degraded by two enzymes. One is proteases, that is responsible for breakdown of amino acid, and glutathione for breakdown of disulfide bond. Degradation normally involves endocytosis. Secretion is by exocytosis. Degradation by endocytosis of the insulin receptor complex, followed by action of the insulin degradation enzyme, that is a metalloproteinases. Metalloproteinases means this enzyme linked with metal. This enzyme linked with metal, so that's why it's called metalloproteinases. Most insulin molecules are degraded by liver cells, 50%. So here one important point: if some patient having problem in liver or kidney, you have to reduce insulin dose. Why? Does not degraded, so half-life of insulin might be increased. So in liver failure, in kidney failure or renal failure, you have to reduce the dose of insulin. If you give same insulin dose, patient might be going into hypoglycemia. The action of insulin, so on the carbohydrate metabolism, increase uptake of glucose in muscle and adipose tissue, increase glycolysis, increase glycogen synthesis, decrease gluconeogenesis. So please remember this, okay, for lifelong. If you want to treat patient accurately, for diabetic patient, you should know A to Z about insulin or A to Z about diabetes. Because nowadays the diabetes incidence is very high worldwide. So every third patient, fourth patient you see in your clinic in future, the diabetic patient. So you should be thorough each and everything about diabetes. So increase uptake of glucose in muscle and adipose tissue, increase glycolysis, increase glycogen synthesis, liver muscles, decrease gluconeogenesis in the liver. On the lipid, increase fatty acid synthesis, increase lipogenesis in adipose tissue from triglyceride, decrease lipolysis. On protein, increase protein synthesis by amino acid uptake into muscle, decrease proteolysis, decrease breakdown of protein, modification of activity of membrane enzyme, increase of DNA and RNA synthesis, increase potassium uptake by absorbing serum potassium, relax of arterial muscle wall, increase the blood flow, especially in the micro arteries. So this is one of the cause of hypertension in diabetes. If diabetic patient is hypertension is there, because the first of the cause is atherosclerosis. Second cause is because of deficiency of insulin. Insulin function is relax of muscle wall. Relax of muscle wall, arterial muscle wall. If the relax, the resistance is less, so blood pressure is normal. If insulin deficiency, there is a no relaxation, still constrict, so resistance is more. So this is one of the cause of hypertension in diabetic patient. On membrane transport, insulin enters the cell by carrier-mediated facilitated diffusion. Carrier-mediated facilitated diffusion. So inshallah, physiology people will talk about what is carrier-mediated facilitated diffusion. I think last year in Man and Environment, they mentioned about if the insulin is activity is there, along with glucose, there is some other transporters like amino acid, potassium, sodium also going inside the cell. Okay, so they will explain you in detail. By translocating the glucose transporter from the cytosol, where it resides in the absence of insulin, on the cell surface in response to insulin. So glucose transporter, membrane protein that carries out GLUT1 to 4. Again, same thing. GLUT1 in brain, GLUT2 in the liver, beta cell, pancreas, GLUT4 adipose tissue, cardiac and skeletal muscle. Insulin stimulates glucose uptake into the muscle and adipose tissue. So please pronounce clearly something. Especially Dr. Sarwar is very keen about that. Mafi glucose. Okay. So whenever you study something, your pronunciation should be good. Biochemical changes in diabetes mellitus. So till now we are talking about the normal thing. So changes in lipid metabolism, increase fatty acid oxidation, increase acetyl-CoA. So if acetyl-CoA is accumulated, leads to an absence of or lack of oxaloacetate, there is a no entry of citric acid cycle, right?
Yeah.
Intermediate, and that is going for gluconeogenesis. If acetyl-CoA is more, ketogenesis is there, that is responsible for ketoacidosis. If ketoacidosis, more amount of ketone bodies, and that is responsible for energy production, that leads to ketolysis of ketone bodies by extrahepatic tissue. Decreased lipogenesis, increased lipolysis in adipose tissue. This is one of the cause of weight loss in diabetic patient, especially type 1. One of the cause of weight loss in diabetic patient, especially in type 1. In type 1. Fatty liver due to overmobilization of depot fat. Fatty liver because this lipolysis is occurring in adipose tissue. So that fat is going to liver and deposited in the liver, that leads to fatty liver in diabetic patient. Changes in protein metabolism, increased degradation of protein, catabolism, increased urea synthesis. There is a chances of increased urea synthesis in diabetic patient because more amount of amino acid is catabolized. The precursor for urea is amino acid. Decreased synthesis, muscle wasting. So muscle wasting in diabetic patient is because of breakdown of muscle protein. Person might be giving expression he is very strong, very tough, but especially proximal myopathy. This shoulder and pelvic girdles are muscles are weak. Patient cannot able to stand suddenly from the sitting position. So this pelvic girdle, pectoral girdle, shoulder joint and pelvic girdles muscles become weak. Patient is complaining pain. Infection is very common because of decrease of immunoglobulin. Immunoglobulins are decreased, so that's why chances of infection is more. So this is balance between pancreatic hormone insulin and glucagon, regulate metabolism. So fed state insulin is dominated. Insulin is more during after meal. So glucose oxidation is more, glycogen synthesis, increased fat synthesis, increased protein synthesis. During fasting, or you can say diabetic, glucagon is more, insulin is less. So that leads to increased glycogenolysis, increased gluconeogenesis, increased ketogenesis. Reverse. So second hormone is glucagon. So any question related to insulin? Normally, insulin is an anabolic hormone, as you said before. So insulin is responsible for lipogenesis. If insulin deficiency is there, that time lipolysis. In diabetic patient, lipolysis. Okay. So next is chemical structure of glucagon. It produced from alpha cells of islets of Langerhans. Control the conversion of insoluble glycogen to glucose in liver. So this hormone is responsible for glycogenolysis. Insulin for glycogenesis. Okay? Okay?
Yeah.
Single peptide chain and no disulfide bond. Here is only one peptide chain, no disulfide bond. 29 amino acid. Glucagon binds to glucagon coupled receptor located in the cell surface. Here, because of this, I copy from other side. So something is missing. Glucagon bind to, please note down. Glucagon bind to glucagon coupled receptor located on the cell membrane. Glucagon action. Glucagon helps maintain levels of glucose in blood. It is the single signal of fasting released under the influence of low glucose level. Whenever the blood glucose is less, glucagon concentration is increased. Whenever the blood glucose is more, insulin concentration is increased, glucagon is less. Reverse. When the glucagon binds to the glucagon receptor on the liver, it stimulates the glycogenolysis. It induces gluconeogenesis. It helps also in gluconeogenesis. Reactions responsible for increased blood sugar level, all those reactions glucagon help. One is glycogenolysis, another one is gluconeogenesis. Glucagon also regulates the rate of glucose production through lipolysis. So same thing, if the fasting is there, the glucagon concentration is more, so glycogenolysis, gluconeogenesis and ketogenesis. If well-fed state insulin is more, this reaction is more. Increased glucose oxidation, increased glycogen synthesis, increased fat synthesis, increased protein synthesis. The last one is chemical structure of somatostatin. The delta, yes, somatostatin is produced or synthesized in delta cells of islets of Langerhans. Somatostatin, also known as growth hormone inhibiting hormone. Growth hormone inhibiting hormone is a peptide hormone that regulates endocrine system. It is produced by low pH. Low pH. So whenever in the body having low pH, so this somatostatin is increased. Somatostatin are a peptide initially synthesized as a large precursor. Here is also, because of this structure, something is missing here. Somatostatin are a peptide initially synthesized as a large precursor molecule that undergo tissue-specific enzymatic degradation to yield either somatostatin 14 or somatostatin 28. Short half-life less than 3 minutes. Short half-life less than 3 minutes. Action of somatostatin. Somatostatin is classified as inhibitory hormone whose action are spread to different parts of the body. Inhibit the release of growth hormone. So inhibit the release of growth hormone. Inhibit the release of thyroid stimulating hormone TSH. It suppresses the release of various gastrointestinal hormone. It suppresses the release of pancreatic hormone as well as exocrine action of the pancreas. Both. It whole effect on pancreas, pancreatic hormone as well as exocrine action of pancreas. So this somatostatin anti-growth hormone TSH decrease, and third one is suppress the various gastrointestinal peptide, pancreatic hormone and exocrine function of the pancreas. So this is all about the pancreatic hormone.